also I never had the opportunity to cast Hobson back when he was on OG and in Europe. So just enjoying getting to see what crazy shenanigans they have in store and what carries they pull out, like you mentioned with the unconventional stuff. So I'm happy with the stuff we're getting.
Yeah, me too. It does seem like, just with the all chat there, it's a little bit more positive vibes because both teams know that they're locked in for at least last chance qualifiers. Polaris in particular. Like we were mentioning during the RSG against Polaris cast yesterday, they've been so close so many times that even just the chance to be able to compete on LAN, they could surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's a very, very strong team that I think have a draft that can take it in this game. It's not going to be easy. I don't particularly see either side having a draft advantage. What are your thoughts on it, though?
I would say T1, if only for the fact that I'm really seeing issues of who starts fights and who wants to actually be pushing towers outside of this Lina early on, right? At least you've got the Beastmaster to be able to do that for Cuckoo. You can see he's already leveled up the Wild Axes. He knows what he's going to be going up against with Natsumi leveling up that mirror image, obviously. But you've got the potential to push. Of course, Arc Warden we saw last game, even when you're massively behind, it always is a potential factor. No one's going to die at these bounties, just a little bit of a skirmish coming through. But yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more confident into that. And I mean, if it does get to the super late game, of course, Arc Warden, super capable of scaling. And you've even got Dark Willow, who, we were mentioning that they needed a few more heroes that are able to pump damage inside of that Chronosphere. Well, Willow can definitely be one if she's able to get into the Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts about this here? Because I was very surprised that we hadn't seen a lot of Dark Willow. I think Tiger at the Arlington Major showcased how strong this hero could be, and we saw it a little bit as well over at ESL. So what are your thoughts on the hero?
So I'm not going to give my thoughts. I'm going to give the thoughts of Trent, someone that I respect their opinion quite a lot. In just that, sorry, there's a little bit of action going down on this bottom side. I feel like if Willow had been in the game as long as someone like Earthshaker had, people would be picking him a lot more. And it's just the fact that people have been playing Shaker for like 15 years, whereas Dark Willow, it's been more like, 3 to 5. So you don't have that same level of familiarity, and it's not just quite so easy to say, oh, this is a Dark Willow game, So I think it's just a little bit of that, just some favoritism and maybe even some nostalgia coming in of being able to make these big plays. But I agree with Trent. I think Willow is kind of a busted hero.
Yeah, I do think maybe some issues with in 7.32, even though I think some of the changes to the abilities were really nice, just like value of life changes. I think maybe the levels is what could potentially impact her, because she's one of the supports that really needs to get levels. And exactly right, you need that level 12.
Just such a big damage increase from the Bedlam from 70 to 120 if you get into that. And then even a Wyvern, with the Cold Embrace, you're basically just resigning yourself to death. So Zephyr might be looking to find as many one-on-ones as possible, as he's just doing his best to bully AU in the lane right now.
Like we were mentioning, though, we saw the Arc Warden previously played in the carry role. This time it's going to be played in the mid lane. You were mentioning the draft that there's not a lot of heroes that can lane well against the Lina. Do we feel like Thompson at least is going to be able to find his farm in this matchup?
It's fine enough, especially now that you've got the Spark Wraith up to level 3, 180 damage, you're always going to be able to secure the reliable last hits onto the range creeps. So that makes it fine enough. That's oftentimes one of the bigger issues with going up against the Lina, is that she just harasses you out very easily, as we see just then. Top side looks like it's being relatively fine, although we got a little bit of pulling happening here with Force just trying to get some of those early levels. Again, it's so important for him to have that solid start to this game. He's going into the Armlet just to give a little bit more of that scaling potential and even just the tankiness to be able to jump in and out of these team fights. But if he's not getting kills and if he's not starting fights, who is?
Do we feel like there's going to be a stage in this top lane where Polaris can play aggressive instead of just looking to continue to cut the wave? Because we were mentioning like this Skyth Mage is a very good lane matchup versus the Undying, but the Undying also counters out the Marcy very well. So do we feel like Polaris will ever have a stage where they can kind of play the normal lane?
I think they can, and it probably needs to be on Ana, to be honest. But they need to get a few more right clicks in onto Ana. I feel like they've just been a little bit too passive about that in the laning stage. He's still got 3 tangos to play around, and Force never wants to go forward and try and trade with him. It's going to need to be Xavius doing that. Even just like Ana's positioning in the lane, he's making sure to stay on more on the left-hand side of the lane, just as far away from the Skywrath mage as possible, so that if he tries to go for some of these right clicks, the creeps are going to aggro. He gets it right that time, but with all this attention being brought through, Whitemon's able to get a creep pull off. So the lane just continuing to go well for T1.
This is something we've seen multiple times though, from T1's games, and I guess a recent example of that was the previous game. They tend to win a lot of their lane matchups, and not just a couple of lanes, but often it's a lot of their lanes, and you know, sometimes even all 3 as well. So at least this time for Polaris to see bottom lane, Natsumi's getting his farm, Lelouch is well expected, top of the last hits on the lane.
Yeah, it is to be expected. I mean, they just want to have 1 point in the Call of the Wild on Cuckoo. Is this going to be a first blood coming through here? Ooh, run away. Is he going to deny himself, maybe? Out of regen on Zephyr. Might even go for the TP, and it looks like he'll be able to land it. But now does this set up for a potential kill onto Cuckoo? I mean, you aren't holding on to a point of the ensnare, so I was thinking maybe they could look to play around that if with the double slows coming through from the Wyvern. Should be able to get another pull off on AU, and maybe once he hits level 3, they'll try and go for a kill.
Top lane, Undying's in some trouble. Force with the drag back thanks to the dispose, but as soon as Ana shows up, Polaris have to be hesitant. Great use of that time dilation. Just leveled up from Ana, and you see straight away Polaris are like, all right, we can't continue on playing aggressively.
Yeah, nice pull on this bottom side by AU. I think this is a triple stack of the small camp, so really pulling the lane back, forcing a few more potentials to be able to go for kills onto the Beastmaster. You've got the potential for it, and you can see this time around Natsumi, he holds on to the point of the ensnare, and he's actually going to go for it right now.
Cuckoo's in some trouble. He's got a Fairy Fire and some stick charges, but that won't be enough to keep him alive.
Won't it?
No way. All right, Will, Cuckoo, okay. Was not expecting that. Thought Natsumi was going to be able to keep up with his real Naga style, but not the case. Cuckoo survives, but doesn't have the greatest resource pool, so might be forced all the way back to Bates.
He's got the Helm of Iron Will, at least, for some of that regen coming through.
River up top, Lelouch has enough mana for the Laguna Blade. Whitemon's going to at least be able to get the Tombstone out before he dies. At Whitemon, they don't even get the kill on the Undying in a T1. They can move towards Lelouch at the mouth of the pit as Thompson finds first blood on the Arc Warden.
AU's able to get the Tombstone bounty, but this is exactly what you want on T1. Obviously, the first blood on the mid laner that serves to dominate the lane, but it's taking a lot of attention away from Cuckoo, who is able to get this lane pull off because you don't have the Raz of multiple heroes coming in onto you. He's up to level 5 now, and he can really look to start pumping in a little bit more pressure around the map.
Might look to get some aggressive on Ana top lane. Ana play with the spell casting. Ana though is dude, this time dilation. What an ability. Oh my lord.
And I mean, they're playing for the late game this time around on T1. Look at Ana. He's going into the Midas super early on. He feels like the lane's gone well enough. You obviously want to have something that's able to farm up, considering Naga, Lina, they're pretty good at choking out a lot of the areas of the map that you're capable of farming, just with the illusions and the speed that you're able to push these lanes out. So Midas feels like the ideal item.
Look at this. Thompson and Zephyr combined together. Onto AU they go. With the Observer Ward in the jungle, they're able to scout out the Wyvern's positioning. And both sides have recognized the importance of playing around the mid lane. Thompson, with his early use of the Tempest Double, can really bully out the Lina, who has some difficulties when multiple heroes are on top of her early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have the potential for that, right? The Bramble Mazes have all been on point from Zephyr. You've got the Hawk providing a lot of that vision to be able to scout out the Lina in addition to the wards that you were talking about before, and of course, Chronosphere as well.
You were just mentioning as well about the scaling potential in T1 in the late game. Do you feel like Polaris can't match that with the heroes they have? Because I feel like they have a really strong late game on Polaris as well.
I feel like they do have a strong late game, don't get me wrong, but again, you're against an Arc Warden who has the potential of being 10 slotted. You've got a Faceless Void who's going into a Midas, and you've got a Dark Willow, who in my opinion is one of the best scaling position 4s in the game, just through right-click potential. I mean, against a lot of high armor, like on the Naga Siren, against Lina, you're going to be able to outscale her. Cold Embrace is going to be useless. You've got a Chronosphere that you could just use to pump damage in.
Then it's going to come down to the importance of Polaris being able to get on top of the Arc Warden, because I do think they have answers in the Chrono, at least against the Void's damage, but it's going to be the question of the magic damage. And well, speaking about the Arc Warden, Thompson getting very aggressive this game, making early maneuvers with Zephyr into the jungle. Lelouch has a Verifier also to play with, but another round of the Spark Wraith will connect. They're doing an incredible job to slow down the Lina's game.
Yeah, and this is the power of the vision again. Not even from a Hawk this time. Just a decently obvious observer ward there, placed down by Zephyr previously. Completely scouting out the movement of this Lina. Been bullied out of the lane, and now you've even got well, I was about to say a little bit of danger of the mid tower being under siege, but Natsumi, he's the one person that's having an exceptional game right now. I mean, he's just having the time of his life, farming up a lot of these early items, going into the Manta style. They want to try and rat out this map as much as possible, because for all that they're good at, Undying, Willow as supports, not the greatest at being able to push out some of these side lanes. Even the Faceless Void to some extent, at least until he's got the Maelstrom.
It does feel like it's going to be very similar here for Polaris, where it just comes down to their pickup potential. We might see that be the case as top lane force, but look at the bait. Ana, they were already in the tree line. He gets the double Chrono. Now Tempest double will join the party. They'll target down the Sky's Mage first, and now they can look to avoid force. However, he's able to bring down Ana before they secure the kill. Some incredible armor toggles from force. He'll do it again. The Marcia will reign supreme throughout this skirmish. Beautifully done from Force. Some individual brilliance, and that's what they need to net them apart from the lads on T1.
Now, I thought he was about to die to those to that creep wave between an armlet toggle after that all, but no, fantastic play coming through from him. It was a great bait as well coming through from Ana. But yeah, clearly just not valuing the armlet build. It's not super traditional on the Marcy these days. A lot of them look to try and itemize into that super early BKB. Doesn't even have boost, right? Just on the rebound.
What is this?
He's man fighting.
Zephyr's got 6, so there is kill potential. Ramble not gonna connect. Also, if he gets another armlet toggle off, he might be okay. They're gonna go onto the tower though. With the Bedlam damage and the Arc Warden, they will not get the kill. Ooh, careful there, sir.
Lelouch was about to say he's coming top to potentially look to defend against this push. I don't think you're going to put the highest priority on this tower, right? Like, sure, you're playing on Radiant. You want to make sure that you can have better access to that Roche pit. And of course, that tower provides a lot of safety to be able to keep the high ground warded. But no one really needs to be taking this jungle. Of course, Naga Siren can, but it's just even more effective at shoving out some of these more dangerous lanes, and well, Natsumi knows that best. So I don't think they're going to be looking to make too much of a defense happen up top.
It's nice that we do see Natsumi into the jungle early and giving the space over to AU, because he already has the level 6, and like I know you're the Winter Wyvern specialty, so what are we expecting out of him in a game like this? Like, what is kind of the item build that we might see from AU to really put some impact into game 2?
I mean, I normally build Wyvern the exact same way every single game because I'm a degenerate, but I think this is the game where you need a Blink Dagger. Again, like I was saying before, as long as the Naga and the Wyvern aren't both caught inside the same Chronosphere, I think you're going to be fine. Speaking of Wyvern and potentially getting caught here, gets roared up, and some solo experience being given over to Cuckoo. That's a really big deal. You need to make sure that you're getting that Helm of the Dark Overlord available as quickly as possible.
As soon as Waimon drops the Tombstone down, Natsumi is going to have to back up.
But yeah, you just got to go the Blink Dagger so that A, you're able to get those defensive saves off, but more importantly, there will be times occasionally where Cuckoo, as great of a player as he is...
Force is going to be in some trouble top, I think. They TP'd in 1 and Zephyr's under cover of the Invis. He does have the lead, so the Sky behind her at the moment. Might be able to get a rebound target to back to safety, but the chain control is perfect from T1 along with the damage. This will open up bottom now. As Cuckoo's also going to be in some trouble. Oh no, they missed a stun though. They will not have the opportunity to be able to TP out. The curse can always stop that. Oh my
no!
lord. Let's see if he goes for a TP out. I think they'll still have the damage to get the kill afterwards. And it looks like they will. Cuckoo's not even going to make the attempt. They might lose AU. Cold Embrace will buy him some time. But in the end, at least they get the tier 1 tower here for Cuckoo.
Do indeed. He's just creating a lot of space out on the map. What I was saying before is you've got the potential of that curse once the Helm of the Overlord's available, so that's just another added benefit of going into a Blink Dagger style on this Winter Wyvern this game. Looks like he might just be going into the Tranquils first, so it's just for some ability to stay out on the map. Of course, that is very important whenever you're going up against this roaming sort of lineup where you need to be able to respond consistently. So a lot of the time,
look at the positioning from the T1 supports. Oh, they're going to pounce up. They know exactly where they are, ready to take the fight as Natsumi's going to come from the right side as well, blocking out the escape avenue for the Undying. But at least Zephyr will survive with the TP. So that's 4 heroes on Polaris forced to this area of the map. At least they'll get the Tombstone kill as well, so a little bit of extra gold.
Specifically because it's for Force as well, right? Like I mentioned before, he needs to be your initiator. He needs to make sure that he's got the best game imaginable. I don't know if they're going to be rotating anyone top because they see that both Force and Xavius are playing around this area. But no Mystic Flare to play around might lead them to think that they could go for a defense, and well, that seems to be the case as triple smoke coming through here from T1. Cuckoo, it's the art of the bait, right? Just putting yourselves in this super vulnerable position that isn't exactly so.
And look at the vision they have on T1. The Hawk and the lane scouts them out. Xavier's going to go on the tree line, force down to the south, and the TP from AU. They want to fight, but T1, they brought the numbers to the skirmish. A Bramble will hold back AU for the moment. A Curse going to be able to cover the retreat. Do they consider about going back in on Polaris instead? It's going to be the Arc Warden that gets the kill. And they won't even have to commit to try and help out. Now Natsumi with the song. Can he catch up to Cuckoo? Now with the bonus movement speed, he will be able to close the distance, and Lelouch can fall with the LSA as well. Cuckoo attempts to try and disrupt this with the Roar, but it's not going to be there fast enough as Polaris, beautifully done. They bring the numbers to take the skirmish. They find a 2-for-1 trade and can now look to take the tier 1 tower.
So much value being given over to Force, and I love it. This is exactly what they needed to do. Natsumi with his Naga Siren, as well as the Lelouch. What are we chuckling at now?
Just the fact that there's a sentry blocking the small camp down bottom and an observer ward as well from Raider. They're like, dude, Arna screw and dude, look at the jungle. Arna can't farm anything. They blocked out the hard camp of the triangle. The ancients are blocked as well. He'll kill it one more time, but Polaris just want to slow them down.
You want to try and scale into the late game, they're not going to let them. In mid lane, he's actually getting jumped on here. 100-0 just from that combo. Force 5, 1, and 0. That individual play in the laning stage really setting him up for more and more greatness as we get on.
And that kill is all set up because they blocked the camps. Because Arna can't farm in the jungle, he has to show in the lane, maybe taking away the farm from a support who'll take that aggressive farm or tops into the Tempest double. So that they get that kill solely thanks to all the camps being blocked. That a really awesome play from Polaris. And now, this net worth lead is growing, man. Like Natsumi, this is the thing about the Naga Siren. You can farm so many camps at once. Force is 5, 1, and 0. He's got in a couple Tombstone kills. You always saw the plays up top where he got some kills as well. And this is what you need on the Marcy. Like, you can really struggle with keeping up, but if you get kills, you're going to have a fine time to be able to scale.
Oh, I mean, they could see Arna. He just TP'd back bottom again. He wants to use the Midas, but it might be his undoing.
Oh, Mystic Flare is going to be up shortly as well for the extra burst, but they're instantly TPing down. They need to keep Arna alive, and they will. The misstep from Polaris at the start. Not going to be able to net them another kill. Finally, they'll D-ward. They've got a lane ward, though. Might catch T1 off guard. They still see Arna.
I don't know. Feels like there's a lot of T1 reinforcements here. Although...
They're going to jump in. Straight towards Arna they go with the Mystic Flare. Fort, they wouldn't even need it. Force has got too much damage out of the Unleash. Now they're going to chase down more as AU, no messing around. A Curse for Whitemon, a Laguna Blade as well for good measure. Why not drop a couple of ultimates just to do the mental damage?
Realizing that they don't really need the Naga Siren. He's just doing a good enough job of pushing out these other lanes with himself as well as the illusions. the Manta style to be able to just keep spamming out as well into the lanes. No pressure really coming out from this Beastmaster right now, but I suppose they're just looking to play around the Helm of the Overlord as much as they can.
Another pickoff.
Very
Thanks
cool.
to another ward. The Vision game was a big reason why Polaris were able to take down RSG yesterday. And this game too has been no different. Another reason, and even against the Beastmaster, who often has the Vision advantage. But I do want to mention the fact that we haven't spoken about Thompson for a little bit of time. Like, he was getting very active early on once he had the level 6 and the rotations out from Zephyr. But Thompson's been back just casually farming up the jungle, working towards this Mjolnir. What are we expecting out of him, though, in this game, maybe compared to Natsumi in the previous game? We're already seeing a difference in the item build, going the Mjolnir instead of the Glimmer Cape. But when does he feel like he could maybe start to show up to some of these early skirmishes?
I think the Mjolnir is a little bit more important, where he even doesn't want to turn up to these team fights because you're dealing with a Naga Siren. Naga wants to be pushing out lanes with the illusions. And, I mean, you could kind of do the same with the Tempest Double, but you want to be able to, like, leave something in the lane, like the Mjolnir active, onto one of these creeps from the Tempest Double so that it's a lot easier. That's a little bit deep.
A little bit deep is definitely an understatement. I don't particularly know how he, how he got there. That's a streak
Maybe
that they...
That might have been a bait from Ana. Just putting himself out there. He's kind of low. No, they haven't actually used the Mystic Flare. Maybe thinking they could get the solo kill. You can see a lot of this movement coming out from T1. Whitemon playing down here alongside Ana, so they're not going to commit too many heroes. They are rushing instead. Ooh, tries to go for the solo pickoff, and well, the jump away looks like it won't be effective enough, where he gets caught out with the brambles, but definition of space created, right?
They just given over to Lelouch. Very much struggled early on with multiple heroes on T1 collapsing behind his tower, but he's been able to keep up on his farm, and the Boots of Travel is going to further enable that. And they've dropped the ward down deep in the jungle as well. I believe Thompson did scout out AU, so they have a good idea of the Winter Wyvern moving around here. But they need to play with this ward now here for Polaris. You've got the Aegis, you're ready to go with a lot of items as well, so you need to start getting some map control and slowing down the farm that T1 have been finding in their own jungle.
The thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is that Marcy's still not the greatest. She's better now than she used to be, but she's still not the greatest at pushing out these waves. So I kind of want to see Cuckoo playing a little bit more around the bottom side with that Helm of the Overlord creep and forcing a little bit more pressure down away from their own objectives. I mean, Lelouch is just free hitting into a tier 2 tower at the moment, and I mean, Thompson's going to respond with his Tempest Double, but it really doesn't feel like they're all that scared of being able to take this fight with the Aegis and all the boys nearby. Can't be just walking away from your high ground vision either, right? AU, that Observer Ward. Cuckoo's walking underneath it right now. They've got supports coming through to look to try and D-ward, which they will.
Natsumi, he might just actually charge in the middle with the song. Probably not expecting Thompson. Hang on. What just happened? Thompson got killed in the lane, and now they don't have the real Arc Warden for the team fight if Natsumi wants to catch up with the song. He's going to push back tier 1, and that'll just be able to open up the tier 2 tower now.
I honestly don't know what happened with Thompson. I was looking up top. Maybe Thompson was too. This is what we're talking about, though. Just put Thompson a little bit more out of his comfort zone. I know he's a very capable Arc Warden player, but it isn't what they've had the most success on. You know, the Morphling spam, just get rid of it. Force him to go for something a little bit different that he hasn't had the time to adapt to over these past few days.
Now, I'm really intrigued when Natsumi's going to consider the Scepter. I think it's an incredible item, and from what I've heard as well, can also hold that thought mid lane. Thompson? Oh, they're just baiting. Look at the turnaround from Zephyr. A Terrorize onto 2. The Curse Crown as well for good measure. Natsumi considering with the ultimate, but he doesn't get it off. He pump faked the song, and now Ana's going to be in with the Chronosphere. The bash is into the Roar. As the tank control is ever so perfect from T1. So they get the first kill into the second, and now they can look to put some pressure on the map.
Well, I was talking about the Chronosphere's impact with being able to just not get caught with the Naga and the Winter Wyvern at the exact same time. Wasn't even the Chrono that time around. It was Zephyr being able to land such an amazing Bramble Maze into the Terrorize after fantastic bait coming through from Thompson. You could tell what they were looking to try and do with the Winter Wyvern, going for the Winter's Curse, trying to get that chain kill onto Thompson, but without that Blink Dagger going into the Aghanim Shard instead, he just doesn't have the capability to gap close.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Now they just go right back out of the map. Not the longest respawns. You still have Aegis for another minute 40. They're going to try and consider out beating onto the T2 tower. Lockwater does make it very, very difficult, though.
Lane's just getting shoved in. Ana playing around the bottom side of the map, wanting to make sure that he can direct a lot more of that attention away from the main objectives that they're trying to get with this this Aegis. Very, very easy for them to shove out a lot of these waves with the Wyvern, with the Lina, with the Naga Siren, of course. So, there we go. Second tier 2 tower going down. I think they'd be happy enough just taking away all of these different outer towers on Polaris with this first Aegis. Still about a minute left on it. That's about the same time that you've got for the Chronosphere. TP coming in from Thompson, just doing his best to shove the lane. I wonder if Ana might go for a bit of a lane cut here, or if he's just going to go for the next one. Have someone else shove out the lane, and then when they're least expecting it, they're spending a lot of time down bottom, which the real Thompson is using to get that next key item. Actually don't completely get rid of the creep wave, though. Got protection, not quite there, but illusions aren't going to be for much longer either, so it is still a bunch of wasted time as Ana dancing off into the trees will eventually get back into this this lane. That's the side of a good carry, right? Making sure that you're not revealing on the map for as long as possible. And he likes to play on Dire, bottom right-hand side of the map, on Radiant, top left-hand side of the map, right as far into the trees as he can. It's the Ana spot.
Who called it the Ana spot?
Sebastian Debs.
You see, with how Ana's been able to stay out, he's got the level 15 now. Going to be working into the Lincoln Sphere as the next item. But Polaris, with this Aegis advantage, taking a lot of map control and increased the lead ever so minorly. Up to 7,000 now, but these 2 tier 2 towers have been claimed. And throughout that time, we've seen Force. He's been able to complete a Basher. You've got Lina. I think Shadowblade was the most recent item for the Lina. So they're getting a lot of items on Polaris. But again, Diet, they are still somewhat finding their farm as well.
Now, will we finally have, once this Aghanim Scepter is purchased on the Naga Siren, the real in being used? Because it's so trash, man.
Okay, from what I heard, it's actually not bad versus the Faceless Void. It can actually answer him inside the chrono. You've got a really long cast range. I heard it in one game. I think, I'll hold that. Lelouch down bottom might be able to solo kill Zephyr. Nice read!
Might be getting chronoed as well, though.
Be cautious, but instantly used to the haste, and he's just going to look to dash on out. So Mike and John, I believe, were casting one of the earlier qualifier games, and they had a Naga Void, and I was only listening to the game, and I believe I heard them say that the Naga reel in is quite nice for the Void in the chrono. So we'll see if that's going to be the case. Because, of course, the song's a very good answer, but if he's got BKB, then it's a bit different.
To me, though, I feel like they've got the tools to be able to find the better target, you know? Like, he's going to have the Lincoln Sphere soonish, and I feel like that's the time active on T1. He'll also probably be level 18, so half a second longer inside of the Chronosphere, and maybe that's the damage that they need to be able to kill the Naga Siren, right? You pop the BKB, you've got the Lincolns, there's nothing that the Winter Wyvern's going to be able to do against you. They've got nothing else that's going to be piercing that BKB plus the Lincoln Sphere spell immunity.
Well, it's also another game where we get to see a Beastmaster go into the Ag Shard second. We saw, I believe it was KP yesterday with the early Ag Shard after the Helm of the Overlord. That was a big reason of why they were able to succeed in that game. And we'll see if there's going to be a similar thing here for Cuckoo. Because, I mean, how even this game is, and it feels like a lot of it's going to come down to vision and who gets the jump, and that's where Beastmaster can thrive. So I like this item pick up a lot from Cuckoo.
Wonder who's going to get the Aghanim Shard if Polaris end up taking this second Roche. Like, you've already got it on the Wyvern. Lina's isn't that amazing. Skyrest isn't that amazing. Do you give it to the Naga Siren just so that if someone else is caught in the Chronosphere, you heal them up a little bit more?
Yeah, I think you do. You can consider Lina as well, just because I know you're going this right-click build, but free pathing is actually, sorry, never mind, that's Scepter, my bad. Yeah, no, you I think you definitely consider about the Naga. Another thing that's very different to the last game is the fact that Polaris have a lot of answers to the split push from the Arc Warden. You see the first item, Aghanim Shard from AU, so he already, the Winter Wyvern is an incredible defender. You've got the Naga Siren that can help push out, the Lina with the Boots of Travel. So it's a very different game where Polaris, they're never really going to have issues with this Arc Warden putting a lot of pressure on the map. So this will come down to T1 just needing to win a 5-on-5 instead of maybe catching Polaris off guard with a numbers disadvantage.
Roche is up, and T1 have, well, I was about to say no idea that it's going on, but Xavier's briefly showed right underneath this observer ward. It was for the splittest of seconds, and I just don't think T1 are going to be able to rally together quickly enough to be able to get towards there before they're able to pick it up. So there we go, Aegis, Shard on the deck. Lelouch is going to be the one holding on to it for now, but you give it to Natsumi, I think. Surely. Surely. Pretty mids, man.
T1, they're baiting behind the Tempest double at the moment. See Polaris inside the river as well, ready to have a really nice ward to play with. They're just waiting to see who else they can look to jump. The Naga Siren's not the easiest person to bring down.
I really don't think they want to jump, though. They don't want to jump. Like, AU just has the Blink Dagger now. So now that you've got this is the key item that they were waiting for. Now they could look to put the Naga Siren onto the front lines. He gets cursed. He gets chronoed. As long as you've got the Cold Embrace, you don't really care. You don't really need to use the Winter's Curse right now to be able to stop any of this, especially as you don't know if Ana's going to have that Lincoln Sphere. He hasn't been revealing on the map for the longest time, and a vast majority of the damage coming through from T1 is still physical.
He's got that level 18 now as well for Ana. So extra level up in the Chronosphere. Titan Sliver to play with him, like you mentioned, almost a Lincoln's, but his game's going to get much easier once he completes the Ag Shard.
Thompson, but it's just the double.
Still a lot of gold. 240. Very nice. Still...
It's all about the stalling game for T1. They've got the better high ground defense. They just want to take this game uber late. See if they can make the Faceless Void into the best carry in the game, which he has the capability to do. Of course, I mentioned before, the power of the Dark Willow if she's able to get into that Aghanim Scepter for herself.
I really would like to see Polaris consider a gem pretty shortly. With the towers that they've been able to find, and Roshan as well, like the supports are relatively farmed. And this is a game where you just need to stall the map out and make it that T1 can't be playing like they are at the moment. Like Arna still is, kind of sitting in the jungle, but at least continuously pushing out bottom. You need to try and have some advantage against the Hawks. And with a game like this, it's just T1 trying to edge out a victory where they get the numbers advantage. And with a gem, it's going to make it very difficult for that to happen. So I'd like to see that be the next item for the supports.
I understand Ana wanting to go for the Aghanim Shard, but his other item that he's got queued up, the Mjolnir, again, it's going to provide that similar sort of asset to what we saw from the Mjolnir on T1, on Thompson, right?
Oh no, Ana showed in Natsumi instantly with the Song of the Siren, and the TPs are coming out. They've finally caught the pesky bug that has been a nuisance in their side. AU needs the vision, and they'll find it. They were waiting with the curse, anticipating it was going to try and BKB TP out. And they'll stop that in its tracks, and now they can look to put some pressure onto the T2 tower and, more than likely claim all the outer towers.
There's only so much time that you can wait, that's the thing, right? Like, he was literally about 1.5 minutes just sitting in that tree line, but Polaris even more patient. Able to catch him out. Thompson, he's gone for the rat play. Might be trying to kill Xavius here, but Cold Embrace should be able to save him, although...
as well. They're gonna move in. The Bedlam from Zephyr gets the kill, but gotta sacrifice his own life, and it feels like in the end, Polaris, they're happy with that. You get the Tempest double gold, you get the kill onto Zephyr as well, and they might go high ground. They push pretty goddamn fast.
That's for sure. Don't have the Wyvern there, which I feel like is still a really key aspect for them to be able to defend this. And then, of course, there's the power of the Arc Warden. Level 18 now, so full 26 seconds on the Tempest double. I'm sure he's just going to look to try and keep them pushed away as much as he can. Even just getting rid of that, enabling the backdoor protection with the Tempest double. So they'll push him away before the Minute of the Aegis expires. More free gold coming through from Lelouch.
Natsumi gets no joke of damage into the tier 3 tower. Just over 1,000 of the mid lane, so very nicely done from the Naga. They see AU under the Observe Ward. They are smoked from tier 1, but it feels like the Wyvern really isn't that ideal pick off for them.
No, but it does mean that if you
fry.
use the Beastmaster Hawk, then you could find a better target, right? And then you're really not as worried about dropping the Chronosphere. So all the while that AU is playing away from the team, they're just like,
Need a
well,
choke point.
can we play?
That's a lot of vision. Arna, they're all grouped up, but the Chrono, it's on to 2. The Wyvern's not going to be nearby to protect him. Force tried to jump in to chuck them out, but he wasn't able to do so. Arna, though, he's got to be cautious. A Time Walk out to the right side. The VKB will hold it back for the moment. The Bashes from Force locks him into place. Arna still has a Time Walk to play with, but the BKB is expired, so now they can get on top of the Faceless Void and bring him down. And meanwhile, they've lost out Thompson as well. All the Crawls are crumbling on T1. And now they'll finally deal with Whitemon as well in the backline as Polaris. They're just too far ahead. T1, they don't have the answers to them.
And indeed, the legitimate dual core coming through. I suppose T1 have it as well, but in terms of the carry-to-carry matchup, this Naga Siren is just doing so much work. Can't really deal with it with all of these illusions, with a Dark Willow, with an Undying. They're probably going to consider going in onto those tier 4 towers, potentially. They had to use a lot of big cooldowns to be able to even attempt that previous fight.
Come here, Black Dragon. Easy 250 gold.
Not the Red Eyes Black Dragon. It's an
Oh,
anime
the
reference if you
second.
didn't realize.
Oh, yeah, I got no clue. I just moved past that. You stick around? Cuckoo, jump in, force great reactions. He gets the rob. Look at the damage! Oh my lord, this Lina with the MKB completed. Lelouch is just right-clicking them again. Force, he's on to Thompson. A Hurricane Pipe will get some distance to Polaris. They don't want to dive out of the tower. Maybe with this song will buy them some time to reset. Force, he'll have to pop. Oh, he didn't jump out. It was a bit awkward.
The blink away from the Wyvern meant that it was interrupted. He's still able to get away. That's after a buyback coming through from Cuckoo. So some cooldowns expended, but outpost control obtained. Lanes constantly pushing in. I mean, they're going to use a smoke here, but I wonder if the fact that it's just a Tempest double defending this one is going to reveal anything. Even just getting an illusion rune is Natsumi there. Going to try and block things off, keep the lanes shoved in as much as they can. And yep, Thompson, he's going to need to just address this lane a little bit more. Yep, scan being used too.
Look at the illusions. It's almost like a small wall around the triangle. Just protecting Polaris. Waiting for their ultimates to come back. Oh, and now Radiant. Lelouch is very far on the front line. Ana's going to be there. Natsumi, he doesn't have the song once again, but the terrorists fall up as well. They might finally be able to kill off the Lina. As Ana secures the first kill, they're even going to look to buy up, but what a curse on the back line. Holding 3 into place. It'll buy them time to now to address the Faceless Void issue. They haven't got it on top of Thompson though. The Arc Warden still playing inside the river, starting to stack up the damage. Lelouch, you got to be cautious. You just fought back. But a BKB, he can fly himself out to safety, but Thompson doesn't have the same capability as Natsumi locks onto his target, can now try and get the ensnare out onto the TPing out Undying, but will just be a little bit too late. And in the end, Polaris, they do find the victory in the skirmish, but it does come at the cost of the Lina buyback.
They know exactly where Cuckoo is as well. He's revealing on this bottom side. He walked underneath that observer, but they don't care about no stinking Beastmaster. They just want to go in onto that tier 3 tower. Have to be a little bit careful about ensuring that there's creeps to be able to assist with this push. So yeah, the buyback being expended, they're just going to back off without, I was about to say without too much gain, but I think you're very happy to get a Thompson buyback out at T1.
And into Roche they go now. Die with the ward on the high ground. We'll scout this out, but there's just no way they're going to be able to defend it. So third Roche, given over to Polaris, Aegis, Cheese, and Refresher Shard. It's like the Aegis once again to Lelouch. And Natsumi's going to hold the Refresher Shard.
Either him or Wyvern. Both of them are very valid carriers, I would say.
Yeah, Aegis. Give over to the Wyvern. That's cool. Smoke up. Potential last fight here. 30,000 net worth lead for Polaris. Again, they know that Thompson bought back price, so if they get the kill into the Arc Warden, potentially game over.
You just got to kill one.
Smoke's gonna pop. They know Ana's there. No hesitation. Natsumi's not gonna mess around. As soon as the smoke pops, he'll just chuck out the song, and Ana is completely surrounded. A BKB, a hope and a prayer, but Force with the Abyssal Blade will stop the escape instantly. And he too does not have a buyback, so Polaris, they can walk it down.
They didn't even begin to attempt to try and save him. It was just, sorry guys, I'm dead. I tried to keep this lane pushed out, delay it for just that little bit further, but feels like T1, it's too much. They're down a core. 6 lives essentially running at them with the leader.
They're going to try and blow up the first life without committing too heavily. Look at the jump in from Force, so straight on Thompson's location. They kill the Arc Warden, it's game. And Thompson's down, that's a dieback. And now Force is going on for more. What a incredible Marcy performance coming through from the offlaner and Polaris. I've been incredibly impressed with how he's been able to start these fights time and time again for the boys on Radiant. And it looks like we will be getting a Game 3 out of this series.
I mentioned that he would just need to do a little bit too much to be able to pull it off for them. And I mean, he is delivered in spades. They're going to try for this last defense coming through. Terrorize keeps getting pump back. They want to try and wait for Ana to be respawning. Maybe now they need to use that Terrorize. Gives them a little bit of time. Just feel like they're going to be lacking the damage still, though. Curse again.
Oh, a beautiful curse to close this one out as Polaris taking game 2. I am incredibly impressed. I said it towards the end, but I felt like Force was a big reason of why they were able to take this game. You know, if he wasn't able to make those cute individual plays underneath the T1 tower up top, he'd never have as good of a game as what we saw out of him. 12, 3, and 5. And also just in the team fights as well. He was able to get on top of Thompson. He solo killed Thompson.